Is South Africa a dying nation? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat South Africa with Pammy T. Now, currently, we have two burning issues that are happening in South Africa. One being the illegal Silfontein miners, miners that are underground, haven't had food or water or medical supplies for some weeks, if not months. Some are reported to have paralysis, some are extremely weak, and some have even been unalived, have lost their lives due to malnutrition underground. The second one being the spaza shop poisonings. Now, children in South Africa have reportedly been eating snacks and been unalived, or losing their lives rather, because of snacks that they've bought and consumed from our local spaza shops. Spaza shops that are ran by illegal foreigners. Just yesterday, we had yet another report from Soweto. Now, both these problems are not only a hindrance to our nation, but they are also killing our nation. And this applies for the illegal miners as well. Those miners are not only people from outside of South Africa, but they are South Africans as well that are reported to be illegal miners. Let's start our discussion with the kids that are losing their lives from consuming snacks from our local spaza shops, from our foreign-owned spaza shops. Let's refer to them in that way for now. Parents, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas. I cannot emphasize the importance of communication at this time. Communication with your young ones, communication with your kids is very, very important. Transparency and having a realistic conversation with your kids, highlighting the dangers of buying from spaza shops is more important now than it ever has been before. Our children are losing their lives because of 1 rand snacks, 2 rand snacks, 5 rand snacks, 10 rand snacks. They are losing their lives for absolutely nothing. If possible, warn your kids. Tell them not to consume anything other than the stuff that is prepared for them at home. If you can, block your child from buying their own snacks. Children can still go out. They can still consume those goods. Some children don't listen as well as others. Some don't take instruction as well as others. But you as a parent, it is now your responsibility to at least try to educate all minors that are under your care of the realities of what is going on at the moment. Yes, children don't always listen, 100%. If they don't listen, at least you as a guardian, you as a parent will have tried. Go out there, get the necessary snacks for your child, get the necessary drinks for your child, get whatever it takes. Let your child only consume stuff or items that they only get from home. If that's a safety measure that you need to take at the moment, rather than losing your child, I think if that's the price to pay, then let's go for it as parents. The South African government is also up in arms with this one. We know that President Cyril Ramaphosa has given 21 days for all spaza shops to be registered and to be compliant with laws that are guarding spaza shops. But of course, South Africans are not just blaming Pakistanians or just blaming Somalians or just blaming people from outside. The government has run some tests. There are some investigations that have gone on. Like, there's a lot that has been shown to the people, or a lot of evidence that is leading to snacks that have been brought from these places being not so consumer friendly. Now, because these spaza shops that are ending our children's lives are mostly owned by foreign nationals, South Africans have refused for foreign nationals to register their spaza shops. How are they refusing? They are plainly just stopping them. The South African processes of registering a business as well are not processes that are really easy to follow. This might discourage a whole lot of non-South African citizens, if I may. So, according to you, with everything that the South African government is doing in regulating and registering South African spaza shops, do you think that is enough? Do you think South Africans would be able to run the spaza shop industry since they are blocking non-South Africans from registering their businesses? Do you have any advice for parents? Parents that have local spaza shops all around. Do you have any advice perhaps that they could use to inform their kids? So drop me a comment. Let me know your views. After all, we chat South Africa with Pemi T. Now, let's keep it moving. Let's fast forward. Let's move forward. Let us keep going. Let's move on to the miners that are underground. Now, many people have reported these miners to be stuck underground. Some have said these miners are trapped underground. And I've always questioned, am I the one who's not following the story properly? Because last I checked, these miners were not stuck. These miners were not trapped. Some of these miners actually did come out. Remember, when Operation Valumgodi started, it was actually an attempt for the miners to come out of that Stilfontein mine. Remember that people had already been arrested previously, arrested for that illegal mining. That is where we heard that, there were some people from South Africa, there were some people from Zimbabwe, people from Mozambique, people from Lesotho, other nations, right? And then there were still some miners. I think it was discovered after a couple of days after the initial arrest had been made, the initial arrest of those illegal miners. Then it was discovered after a couple of days that there were still some other miners that were underground. And then the police blocked anyone from taking in food and water to those miners. And their intention for blocking the food and water from going down to the miners was so that after a few days, when the miners were hungry, when the miners were thirsty, they would voluntarily come out in search for food and water, and then they'd be arrested, and the law would take whatever process that it needs to take. So the miners were never at any point trapped. They were never at any point stuck, right? And initially when this happened, the miners were not yet sick. The miners were mining underground. They were doing whatever they had gone underground to do, right? So this was the South African government's way of getting the miners to voluntarily come out. Obviously, most people, I would think, if I was starving or I was in a situation and I could get myself out of it, believe me, I would choose. I think, okay, let me not say me and most people, because if they're talking about 4,500 miners that were underground then, I know that a few of those miners have voluntarily come out. I know that a few of those miners have been brought out because some of them couldn't walk. They were starving to the extent, like the situation down there has been critical. So what exactly has been happening with this whole mining situation, right? All right, I've explained the part of the miners not being stuck and not being trapped, right? I don't know whether they were trying to avoid arrest or I don't know what was in their mind. But now, because they haven't eaten for so many days, weeks rather, some even months, I'm not exactly sure when Operation Valumgodi started, but what I do know is that, eventually community members came together. There were discussions that, okay, you know what, let's talk to the law enforcement. I think they had whatever conversations they were supposed to have with the law enforcement that was there. And the law enforcement refused to go down that hole. I mean, I saw that hole myself. If I had a husband who was working in that area and he had to go down that hole, believe me, I'd be worried. And would probably be someone going down that hole with government resources. So, and I'd still be worried. So in this case, I'm just thinking, those people, they didn't consider their safety. They didn't consider, well, some have been reported to have been doing this. This has become sort of like their livelihood. So I don't think safety was much of a concern when they did that. Or perhaps maybe they've done it so often that there are things they don't really focus or think about that much. The miners still, when this operation started, Operation Valumkoti, the miners still did have the strength to come out of their holes, to come out of those mines, and they chose not to. Okay, we've clarified that part. Now, I am not sure why those miners chose to stay underground. There may be a bigger picture to this, or I refuse to think that it's just people being stubborn, because you can be stubborn with absolutely everything. But when it comes to your stomach, when it comes to your livelihood, when it comes to you keeping your body and soul together, and you choose to rather perish in that type of situation. I don't know. I really think there might be a bigger picture to the story. But anyways, as I've explained, okay, community members were now in discussion with the police that, listen, can we rather, let's get a volunteer, let's get some people who are going to go down and check what the situation is. And I think from report backs that those people came back with, that, listen, there are around 4,500 people that are still underground. Some are in critical conditions. So when this guy came back, or when these guys, I know initially it was one person that was sent down. He came back with reports that people are starving down there. People are weak. People have been paralyzed. People are sick. And there are some people that have lost their lives. There are some bodies that are decaying. There is a very foul odor when you go down there. So it was just a mixture of chaos. It's a mixture of chaos. You know, it's not conditions that humans are meant to be in all reality. And you know, funny enough that I should say that, because initially when I was following the story from the beginning, I was under the impression that, listen, those people are not trapped down there. They could have very easily come out of the hole from the beginning. And 50% now of my mind has changed from that mentality that, listen, the situation has changed now. Now the situation is a lot more critical. These people are now not coming out of that hole or not coming out of those mines because they can't. They can't walk. They can hardly talk. They can't help themselves. Now, there's a note that came up a couple of days ago, less than a week ago, if I'm to estimate, that, these miners had now sent up a note requesting for ARVs. That is, what may be causing some of their sicknesses. And like, I can only imagine. I have seen a couple of pictures as well of some of the miners that have come up from that hole. And malnutrition, I don't know if that's the right word to use, because when you look at those people, immediately you there's just that human part of you that moves, that this person is in need of urgent help. So I guess that stubbornness of, okay, you did this to yourself, has sort of faded from my mind to, let's get these people help, and then we will deal with the aftermath, the legal aftermath afterwards. Still, even now, I would not send anyone I love to go and assist in that situation, right? Because it would be a danger to a person that I also love to go down there. For people who sort of like did it to themselves. You in this mess now, you kind of sort of did it to yourself. Now you need help. And, last I checked, the South African government had sent a crane down there. I know a few days ago, it was said that the South African government was planning on sending a cage down there. Now, I thought that was a good idea, because in a cage, you could probably fit in more people, and you could probably assist even those that can't walk, even those that are now experiencing paralysis, even those. I thought a cage was a good idea. And then I just saw in a report back a few hours ago that the government had actually sent down a crane to go and assist those people. I think that is an excellent idea, because what I'm thinking is that this thing of bringing people up one by one by one, it's not working. And it's just delaying the process for others to keep on getting even more sick, for others to just keep on getting deeper into the situation, the messy, the sticky situation that they're already in. All right. So, since I was telling you about that ARV situation where some had requested that you bring in ARVs, so at that time, because of the human rights court case, because this situation had now gone to court, had been taken to court by human rights, and it was discussed that these people need to be food needs to be taken down, water needs to be taken down, the necessary medication needs to be taken down. Now, porridge was taken down to the minors. I think water as well was taken down to the minors. And then when they asked for these ARVs, uh, during that court time, it was a matter of, okay, yes, we will send down the ARVs because it's the medication that they need. But I know that Minister Aaron Motsoaledi, who's our Minister of Health, did say no. ARVs are not Panado. You cannot give them over the counter. They're not over the counter medications that you just give just like that. So a person needs to get a medical profession, a medical doctor, a nurse, whoever, just a medical profession to examine that person before ARVs can be issued to that person. So to me, that instantly tells me that no ARVs are going down to the minors. The minors just need to be brought out of those holes. And I'm also a bit concerned that why are these minors not really coming out? Because from what I hear, legally, what are they looking at? What are they looking at facing since they are so scared of coming out of those mines? What I'm hearing is basically they're going to get a smack on their wrist and then they are going to be deported back to their countries. I mean, it can't possibly be that bad. I would I would not, personally speaking for myself, would not allow my body to go through starvation. I would not allow myself to experience such for just over a smack on my wrist and to be sent back to my country. I'd rather go back to my country and keep the hustle moving if I need to, or find something else to do, or just life goes on. But so, all in all, guys, the matter of the illegal miners that are stuck underground is still a pending matter. It's still an ongoing story. I hope that people don't lose interest in it until the story folds, because it does involve human lives. And I don't know, the story is a bit intriguing for me. I hope it is intriguing for you too. But Donna, please do me a favor. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your views. I want this to be a conversation between me and you guys. I don't often show myself or come through in person to do the videos lately. I will try at least once a week to show my face and to come and chat with you guys and for us just to express views. And please do not forget, this is not only a channel where I speak alone. We speak together and we keep the channel growing. We keep the channel going. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. Please take care. That's it from me. And Pemi T signing out from Chat South Africa with Pemi T.